Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Well, good evening, everybody. We're here, of course, to be interviewing somebody in the community that is just all over the place. And even with the challenge of COVID, she is on the show tonight. JoAnn Fields, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this option to be online. I'm hoping this is the tail end, but yeah, I don't wish this on anybody.
We hope you feel better soon. And I know you have a lot of things coming up that we're going to be talking about. Of course, you are the API, you're in charge of the initiative, of course, for the Government of Public Relations. You're the director.
Yes.
So what does that entail? What is it you do? Because it seems like you do everything already as it is.
Well, I am blessed with the experience of working over 20 years, almost 25 years now in the community. I've worked with 5 elected officials, so
Wow.
I have a very colorful background, starting with Congresswoman Davis, State Assembly member Dr. Shirley Weber, and then 3 municipalities in San Diego, Chula Vista, and lastly in National City. So, being the director of government and public relations, I try to help navigate government for Filipino, Asian Pacific Islanders, because I can count on one hand of how many organizations, individuals actually engage with their elected officials. So, other than going to a gala or having certificates provided, which is great, we need that. But we also need to be at the table when it comes to policy, when it comes to decisions being made, like when COVID broke out and there is no data that shows are we moving the needle in the right direction when it comes to access for testing or for vaccination, and it readily was not available. So a lot of people were coming to the table with the County of San Diego. Again, we have some heavy hitters that are historically out there in the community, which is fine, but when it comes to our community, we didn't have a lot of advocacy. So we created a COVID-19 task force for the Filipino and API community, and talking directly with, again, the decision makers so that we have equal access to make sure that we know that we are moving in the right directions. Because as we know, it's no secret, we are in the healthcare field. We have nurses, we have doctors, and, respiratory therapists, and, it goes on and on. But again, when it comes to the training and access so that we know how to handle ourselves if we are positive, or if you're a small business owner, how to access, the funding that was out there to help keep your business, that's all important. So all we want is to make sure that we get our fair share of the American pie. We're taxpayers like everyone else, and sometimes we do need to advocate so that we get our fair share.
I had the opportunity, and I think it was 2019. Did we go to the Philippines? To go to the Philippines for a whole month for the first time in my life.
Nice.
And we were in Tagaytay, of course. Did I get the directions right? Okay. And got a chance. So can you pipe in and tell JoAnn some of the areas that you took me to? Because I remember in my mind, but the cities.
Hi, JoAnn.
Hi.
This is Sarah.
Hello.
Brett is actually thinking of Tagaytay.
Okay.
And it's so beautiful out there. Quezon City, Manila, of course. We spent Christmas and New Year's.
That's the best season to be there during the holidays.
Yeah.
So
and
how
actually,
was your experience there, Brett?
I got to tell you, I want to go back. I love the people. I love how they love the people there, love their life, and you can see they love being with their family, and they may not have all the means that we have in the United States, but for some reason, and I don't know, maybe you can explain this to me. Sarah's kind of giving me some ideas. Everybody there seems like they enjoy themselves with less. They seem happier to me. Is that
Yes, and I'm in agreement with that. My first time in the Philippines, you know, it's because we're comparing what we have with material things. But as you can see, and what you may have experienced in the Philippines is the hospitality. No matter how rich or poor, they're rich in happiness. And there's some people here with a lot of material things, but they're still unhappy, or they want more, or they're working 2 or 3 jobs to just get that car that they want to, roll in, or the big house. But that's what I experienced in the Philippines, and that's what I try to share about our culture is we are very hospitable. That's why when you see us in the community with the professions that there's a majority, especially as it relates to healthcare or even teachers, are very giving and very welcoming. And again, it doesn't matter what's in your bank account. You're welcomed. Like I went out there, and there's an initiative out there to build homes for the unsheltered or to eradicate slums in the Philippines. And people were just giving their last, drink, their last snack with us. And it wasn't a problem. And I remember a lady telling me, her kid was playing with a Xbox. And she was like, "Do you have kids?" I'm like, "Yes, I have 4." And, they love playing Xbox too. And she's like, "Oh, you should invite them to come over." Well, my boys are your size, Brett. So they're not going to fit in a 1 bedroom,
Well, how do you know what size I am? I'm sitting down. I could be 5'2".
So I must admit, I did see the ads in Sprouts back in the day.
Oh my gosh, you do see we do know each other.
You
Those are
cannot
the ads.
forget those
I
ads.
can't believe you remember those ads.
Those are the ads with him in his underwear.
Oh,
my
wait, I'm
mother,
traumatized now.
my mom when she was alive,
Uh-huh.
those she's everybody, if you're not sure what JoAnn's talking about, in my past life, I was probably one of the I was a trainer, and so Sprouts and Ron Cohen were very gracious to allow me to be on every check stand. But I found that to really show the results, a before and after shot was always good, because you can look your best all the time, but I mean, to show yourself your worst and then your best. So I use sports briefs. I don't like to say underwear. I like to say sports briefs. But my mother was appalled when she was alive, and the first thing she did when she saw me, she was really she was like, "Do you have to really do photos in your underwear at the grocery store? Because can't you do some other photos?" She wasn't really happy about it.
No, but you know what? It worked though, and you did a really good job. You're a great trainer. But I gotta tell you, back to the Philippines, people are very family oriented, and I really believe that it's all about family out there. And you talk about happiness, it's because family are together, and and Filipinos are typically very nurturing people. That's why they go into the nursing or they go into the caretaking.
The nannies.
Nannies, yeah, because they're very loving and very so, you know what?
The other word I would
That's
say is very soft spoken.
Mm.
Their
Yes,
voices are
for
very, very,
for the
very.
most
some.
part.
Some.
That's why
Some.
I'm your atypical Filipina. And that's why with initiatives that we take on, some people look like who are you? And I'm like, well, why not me? And why not you? We all have a voice, especially here in the US. I don't think we exercise it at our maximum capacity. And that's what I'm hoping with the API initiative is that we motivate folks so that they realize their voice, so that they realize their voice is their vote. I'm really big on voter participation. I'm not telling you how to vote, but I want our voters to be educated on how initiatives impact our livelihood, our quality of life, and that we have a choice. A lot of people, and it's not just Filipinos or APIs, people feel like my vote doesn't matter. Well, if that's how you feel, from the get-go, of course it's not going to matter. But if you can imagine when there is a vote and the person loses by 1 vote or even 10, that's major. That could have been you, it could have been your family. When I look at elections, especially we had the special election in the 80th district, in the primary, the two candidates, the spread was only 200 votes.
Wow.
That's a birthday party, right?
That
Right.
sure
Or a
is.
weekend barbecue.
Yeah.
So we can make an impact. Any community can make an impact, but you have to participate. So what is in it for us? In Chula Vista, we're voting for the next mayor, the next leader to take us into the next, decade. We have a lot going on. There's the housing boom. We have the Bayfront going on. We know small businesses is what create jobs. So there is major decisions that need to be made. And if you just want to watch and see what happens and leave it up to chance, I'd rather not have that. I'd rather have the over, 200,000 Chula Vistans that are in the city to participate and voice your opinions. What do you want? And not just leave it to chance. So that's what I personally am about. And I just feel like I'm in alignment with our other board members of the API initiative, is that we have over 100 years combined of experience working in the community. We see what we're missing out on, but we also see the opportunities that are out there. And it's not about just us, just Filipinos. It's about all of us. Because if someone's left behind, then someone is in need, and that impacts our community. So when, there's a kid that's sick, you can infect the classroom. So that's going to affect our home. Or if someone is not at work and at a restaurant and people get irritated, why is it taking so long? It's because they don't have enough workers. So when people look from a different lens and learn this is how it impacts you, then maybe that will be the motivation for them to participate in civic engagement. And that's what I try to do. And I'm not waiting for ethnic studies either. There's a lot of history shared with our community, and it's not taught in school, but I'm not going to wait for the curriculum to be approved. You can do fact checks and go to the Library of Congress and know that the Philippines was a territory of the United States. We had thousands of prisoners of war that marched in the Bataan Death March. My grandfather was one of them.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, and so when I feel that when people learn these histories and our contributions, it's not us and them. We're not foreigners. Because again, we were a territory of the United States. We were governed by the United States. So the recent event that we had on July 30th at NTC Park, we celebrated the second annual Filipino American Friendship Day with a festival. If you Google that, you'll find out that is when the United States and the Philippines, we signed a Treaty of Manila, and then became the Republic of the Philippines. We became independent of the United States. And that, again, that's not taught. So am I going to wait, or do we have fun at a festival and include history so that it's also a fun opportunity to share our culture? Yes, our food. Yes, the entertainment. But now we're going to drop a seed and share our history. And that's what I think will help eradicate hate. People hate when they fear what they don't know. But again, if we share our culture, our history, because our history is American history, how can you hate us? We helped position the United States during World War II. It wasn't.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt, but
Sure.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've been with my wife for over 20 years now, and I've never heard anything about hate in the South Bay area for the Filipino brothers and sisters you're talking about. Am I missing something on that, you think?
I'm not sure. JoAnn, will you tell the audience what API means?
API means Asian Pacific Islander. And I would like for the audience to think, if I ask you who is Asian, who comes to your mind? The first three. It might
I
be
would say
Japanese, Chinese,
I'd say
Korean.
I'd say the Japanese, and then I'd say the Filipinos, and then I'd say the Chinese.
Okay, and if I ask you who's Pacific Islander?
I would say probably what's that?
When you think of Pacific Islanders, you think Hawaiians, you
Yeah.
think, Fiji, you think
What about Guamanians?
Yes. So it's a huge umbrella. And on top of that, we have our Southeast Asians, Thai, Lao, Hmong, Cambodian. We also have our South Asian, our Sri Lankans. We also have Chamorro, Native Hawaiian, Samoan. So when we say API, that's a huge umbrella.
Huge.
But when you look at the landscape of when it comes to resources, when it comes to language translation, it's only in Spanish and English. And I'm not saying that, of course, we need that. But when I always point to the registrar of voters, because there's a threshold that when there's a certain percentage of the community speaking a language, they provide in language material and education and ballots. So it's currently available in English, Spanish, Filipino, Vietnamese, Chinese, Mandarin. They're including Korean and Arabic. And I may be missing others. But when we learn that, why isn't it available when you ride the bus? And maybe you are in Mare Mesa, National City, City Heights. We're all over the county of San Diego, but we don't have translated materials. So that impacts the quality of life when you're trying to figure out how to get around to your job or the kids going to school. So that's why we create initiatives. That's why we want a seat at the table so that we're not forgotten. Because again, when you just named a few of our communities that fall under that umbrella of API, and we should not be invisible. We need to come to the forefront because we are missing out on programs and services for the whole family. And again, it'll impact us when someone doesn't have a job, when the kids are sick or the elderly can't get to their appointments, because they may be our coworker, they may be the classmate in the classroom, and then they bring sickness home. Or when businesses close down because there's not enough employees that couldn't get the food handlers permit, that affects us because now our favorite Thai restaurant has closed or a Filipino restaurant. So there's so many ways that our policies, our elected officials need to learn more about our community. And that's why we have the API initiative, so that we advocate for our needs and just to get our fair share.
Well, any way that you're very connected, by the way, as you know. But any way that we can help out as far as some of those things that you've talked about, we would love to see more things on the buses. Sarah just rode the bus the other day for the first time in Coronado, didn't you?
Okay.
I did. It was great.
She was
Yeah.
shocked. I was out of the
Yeah.
area. I was stuck in traffic. She's like, I'm taking the bus. And she went on there. She's like, wow, this is really clean. This is very nice. And she was like shocked. But you didn't see anything on there in Tagalog, did you? No?
Yeah.
And there should be.
Right.
There really should be. And I don't disagree with you on that, JoAnn. I mean, we're in the South Bay. What's the percentage of Filipinos in the South Bay?
I don't know in particular just the South Bay, but in the county of San Diego, according to the census, there's over 217,000 Filipinos.
Really?
And in the South Bay, we are the second largest ethnic group in Imperial Beach, San Diego, Chula Vista, National City. So that's throughout the county. But in the South Bay communities, we are the second largest in the count as a whole, we are the second largest. So I just have to memorize the percentages, but
That's pretty, that's, I didn't realize we had that many. That's amazing. 212,000?
217,000.
217,000. Okay, I
Yeah.
stand corrected. Well,
So
I agree because of that. And even if there wasn't, I think it should be more awareness, and everybody's should be able to know or see those types of signage or dialects situated to where you know it's more friendly to individuals. I agree with you 100%.
thank you. And that's why I do appreciate the time on your podcast so that we can spread the word. And again, it's not about us, it's about all of us. It's about our community in Coronado in San Diego. My friend Trisha Lynn, she performs at an Italian restaurant, I want to say on 10th, and she's there every Friday. She's Filipino. And there's, there's a lot of Filipinos that I'm realizing they live in Coronado, just like yourselves. And, but we get labeled, oh, you want to find a Filipino, go to National City or go to Mare Mesa. Those are our business hubs. And Mare Mesa does currently have the largest community of Filipino residents, but we're all over the place. We have Filipinos in Fallbrook, Escondido, Oceanside, our third largest city. That's our third largest population of Filipinos. So, and I'm not trying to nitpick everything, but we are everywhere, and don't label us that National City is our business hub. Many Filipinos, like my dad, came by way of the military, specifically the Navy. And then, of course, they love the weather here. Everything's great in San Diego, so they stayed. And I believe that's how the population grew. But there
Mhm.
are
My
other
father was too. My
Yeah,
father came, he was in the army, and many of our fathers served,
yes.
and
And that's why I want to celebrate that. Let's celebrate your dad in the army, because we're not all Navy. My oldest son is in the Coast Guard. And we're like,
right.
hey, where did that come from? But, we have contributions, and I like to celebrate that because, again, it's not us and them, it's all of us. And when we're impacted, the community is impacted, and vice versa. So I would rather make these connections so that we can work together. We're stronger together, and it's just more fun. Everything I do, I have to have fun. If it's work, then I'll leave it to somebody else. But this is my passion, and it's a blessing to share my knowledge. I feel like my experiences are lived experiences that are gifts that I need to share, and so that we can inspire another generation of leaders, and just to make it a better, San Diego for all of us to enjoy.
Do you ever go to high schools to teach? I mean, like, doing uh, while the kids are
Yes.
in the auditorium, do you do things like that?
Yes, we actually have assemblies that we are working on. October is Filipino History Month. And so what I do is I ask students what are professions they are interested in. And so I look for Filipinos in those professions. So a lot of people love hearing from Tati, who's on the radio. We have a lot of broadcasters, journalists. So I bring them to the classroom. Willie Santos, he's a professional skater that is on Tony Hawk's team. So anything that the kids want, I try to bring, because again, I'm not waiting for ethnic studies or someone to approve. I just need a teacher to say, yes, come talk to our kids. And the teachers that I work with, I'm on the board for the Filipino Educators Association. Many of the teachers there teach Filipino language class, but it's not limited to that. So what the kids want is what I try to deliver, because I know growing up, we didn't have those type of assemblies from Filipino professionals or someone that looks like me
Yeah,
talking to me, right?
that's right. That's
So,
right.
but we've had, in high school, we always had assemblies. A police officer may come in, or you have a panel of folks, which is great. but it does make a difference when you see representation from your community. And that's what we try to do, working with teachers. I'm not a teacher. That is another level of profession that I think they need to be paid more, because there's so many personalities that they work with, and they're really molding the minds of our leaders that are going to be taking care of us, as we get older. But that's another tangent. But I
There's
just
so
try to
much to
bring.
talk about. You've taught me a
Would
couple
you
things. My goodness.
would you be interested in writing an article for our newspaper one of these times?
I can try. I wrote for some of our ethnic newspapers, and just depends on the deadline. And I can try
We'll give
that.
you, we do a monthly. So we do
Okay.
a monthly newspaper. That way the deadline's a little bit more laxed.
Okay.
But we reach about 7,000 people. It's a small paper,
Yeah.
but we would love to have you do an article on any given subject in any way we can support and help you. I want you to know that we're there.
We could also add it to the other papers.
By the way, you have an editor in chief who's a Filipina and
Okay.
she is the boss. She runs the ship. And
Nice.
so she's very capable also. And
Well, I
we're,
need you to come talk to our kids then, because if that's a career path they would like, they need to hear from you and see you.
I
And
agree.
we have some events coming up. The Pinay Empowerment Summit. It's a semi-annual event. We just launched it during Women's History Month in March. So we are going to kick that off October 1st. So, and that's also Filipino History Month. And again, we're just trying to convene our young women or seasoned women to share their experiences, so that again, that they see someone that looks like them in a profession they may be interested in, or some of the students, they may not even know they're interested in something like what we do. It may just plant a seed and be like, you know what, I remember going to that summit and I met Sarah, or I met JoAnn, I met, Tati, because I never thought I would get into politics. I was voluntold by my parents, let's go to this meeting, let's go this picnic, we're going to this gala, and we just had to do it as a kid, right? But when I got hired into the Congresswoman's office, Congresswoman Susan Davis, she gave me an opportunity. And oh, do you know the president of XYZ? Yes, I do. That's my auntie. Or here's my uncle. Or this is what they're working on. And then we had a visit from the president of the Philippines came, and I was just looking for my parents. So I'm like table to table looking, how do I get closer to the next part of the Marriott? It was at the Marriott at the Marina. And she's like, JoAnn, you know all these Filipinos in here? I knew one person at the table. And so if I saw you, Sarah, I'll be like, Sarah, can you introduce your table? And while you're doing the introductions, I'm looking at the next table. Where are my parents at? But it's relationships, it's connections, and you never know, right? I didn't know. I didn't know I was gonna go down this pathway, but I feel blessed that I have this lived experience. I do have some connections, and I believe we just need to work together. And when people realize, hey, you know what? They're not this way, or all of us this way, or that we are outspoken, give us an opportunity to share our ideas or our thoughts or how to resolve things, then we're moving in a forward direction. And again, I just want to make sure that, our parents, I would tell folks, our parents came here chasing the American dream. And I believe it's our generation to make sure that we have our fair share of the American pie. And
Right.
that's my mission in life. I feel like I've been telling people this is the fourth quarter. I can't do what I was doing 25 years ago, my younger self. So now we got to get ready to pass the baton, and we need to make sure we have a pipeline of leaders and decision makers. So that's my mission. We have the Pinay Empowerment Summit. We have the Filipino History Gala. We just had the second annual Filipino Friendship Festival. I have a professionals networking group called the Lumpia Club.
I've heard of it.
I love it.
When is your next club?
I love that.
So,
Next-
so we got blessed with Hamul Casino. They want to host the Lumpia Club. So this is going to be our first Lumpia Club after hours. So on Friday, September 23rd, we'll be at Hamul. I hope you both can come out and network with us, bring some friends, and meet other professionals in the Filipino and API community. But it's all about having fun. And again, it's relationships and connecting with folks. And so I usually have the luncheon the fourth Wednesday of the month. But some folks, they've been saying, JoAnn, it's hard to get out there, in downtown to make a luncheon. So now that we have this opportunity, September 23rd, 5:30 to 9:30 at Hamul Casino at the Loft, we'll be there. And yes, we are serving lumpia. That is a requirement wherever we go. And that just helps break the ice with folks. Most people know what lumpia is, and then if they don't know, they're gonna learn. And
I love lumpia.
Of
Yes.
course. Of course.
Okay.
Actually, we had a host that I think it was a week and a half ago that interviewed the chairwoman of Hamul
On our
Casino.
podcast, Jim.
On our podcast.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice. So
Well, I feel honored that you took the time, and
Yeah.
I feel like the two of you, I feel very honored to be in both of your presence, because I love strong women who take charge and don't have to make an explanation why. Now remember that next time we disagree on something.
okay.
But I mean, most of the time, I mean, I think what you're doing is wonderful, and I agree with everything that you said, and I would love to help any way that we can. And I know I'm putting myself out there, and I know Sarah could be very valuable in help guiding me in some things, and probably even doing some things that we haven't even thought about. But I appreciate your time, and thank you again. And for your, I mean, you have COVID and you're on the show. I appreciate that. I
And
mean,
actually, everything you're doing, it was an eye opener for me because I really didn't even, and I'm Filipino. I got to tell you, I'm not involved with the Filipino community very much because I'm here, I'm working, I'm doing the radio, I'm doing, the podcasting, our magazines and everything.
she's she's just like you are. You two both are too.
But I don't get out.
but well, I'm sure. I mean, but the two of you are both amazing leaders in the Filipino community and the community and all. But Sarah's been very quiet about it. This might be the opportunity for her to
let's do things together. And again, that's why I do these interviews. That's why I appreciate the invitation to be here, because sometimes it's just folks not knowing where to connect. That's why we have the Lumpia Club. That's why we have the festivals. That's why I do interviews. During the Filipino festival, my mom it was like a reunion, and they're like, "Oh, how did you know to come here?" Or, "Oh, we saw this on the news, and that's why we wanted to check it out and see what it was." And it was just fitting to be at NTC Park, Naval Training Center. Again, that's where a lot of Filipinos came to San Diego. So it was a reunion. And again, I think people just want to learn the opportunities that are out there when it's fun, when you're friendly, and something that they can gravitate to, then why not?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
and I appreciate what you're doing, Sarah. A lot of people, JoAnn, let's do a podcast. And at first I was doing a couple Zooms. And then when it didn't work, oh my gosh, like you cannot be the producer, the interviewer, and everything. You got to delegate and have a team.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's
one thing I can say, Sarah's done a phenomenal job. We are on every major platform. I mean, everyone. And so when this interview is done, it automatically, she's going to put it out and it'll reach everything. So, I mean, she has a way of, she actually works on the Harbor Police's show too.
Oh, nice. Yes.
We have a bunch of shows that we're producing.
Right. The president of the Harbor Police Foundation, he has a podcast with us. And I also, I actually, I was going to say, I produce all the shows.
She is the honcho.
No,
Okay.
You are.
I
That's
just I
that's
produce all the shows
beautiful.
here.
That's
So,
Well, and
beautiful.
but it's been
everybody
fun.
loves her work and everybody trusts her, and she's very hardworking, and well, we want to help you more, and so we are at your disposal. Anything we can do to help you. I just want you to know you have friends,
Okay.
more friends.
Oh, JoAnn, I got to tell you something real quick. So one
Sure.
thing that I have, you were talking about, keeping the culture and trying to maintain, all the Filipino, all the Filipino culture that we've learned from our parents and our grandparents. And so we have our girls, and one thing I still have them do is mano.
Oh, okay. Do you taught them
You
that?
know, I taught
Yeah.
them that
Hey,
when they were
I
little.
did mono in the
You
Philippines
did.
a
You
lot,
did with the old,
a
my
lot of
older
mono,
family
a
members,
lot of mono.
and he would, mono is where you take the hand, just for our
Mhm.
listeners so they understand, and you put it on, you take the hand and you put it against your
Put it on the
forehead.
forehead. Yes,
Yeah,
like
and
that.
it's for respect. And
Yes.
so there are a lot of Filipinos here. So when my girls we would meet, other older Filipino, and they would go up to them and they'd put their hands up on their head. They were just like, "Oh my gosh." They were so in shock because they're looking at Brett. They're like, "Okay."
Yeah,
They're like, "Wow."
but I did.
That's beautiful. And can you imagine if our community exercised that form of respect?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
How our
absolutely.
generations will connect, even not knowing the language, just the gesture makes a
Yes,
big difference. And
absolutely.
they look at you in a different light. I don't speak the language, unfortunately, but
Uh,
I do have an ear for it. My
yeah.
parents speak both Tagalog and Ilocano. So to me, it's the
Okay.
same. And everyone, I know it's not the same, but I just hear it, right? But again, the gesture of manopom, showing respect for our elders, is major.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I
Yeah.
think people are going to want to know, what is that? How do I
Yeah,
learn?
yeah.
How do I
Well,
teach my kids?
I still do it, if I meet an
Yeah.
older, and they're actually, some of them are in shock because they're like, "Wow, we thought this form of, what do you call it, is
Tradition.
tradition is gone,"
Yes.
and I think we need to teach it. I think we need to start, talking to, I don't know.
Maybe
I
that's on
love
the next podcast, that we talk
There
about
you go.
etiquette.
Let's do
Etiquette.
that.
I
Yeah,
think
etiquette.
I think
Mhm.
the Lumpia Club should have its own podcast.
Okay.
Oh,
I
there
love
you
it
go.
because I can't produce it
I
myself.
think I think
And
we would love to work with you in some capacity on, and that wasn't even the reason why. I take credit for having you on the show because I look for individuals that I feel have a talent or a gift, and then I bring them to Sarah. And of course, she's heard of you before, but I said I want to bring JoAnn on. I've been hearing about her for so long, and she does look very familiar to me. And I got to say, I was right. She was the bomb. You did a
okay.
phenomenal job, even when you're not feeling your best. This was a great show, and I look forward to hearing more about the Filipino culture and the things that need to be done in San Diego in order to make it more user friendly to people, that make them feel more comfortable and
Yes.
people to
Well,
become more aware.
well, thank you again for the invitation to be here with all of you and your viewership, to share our culture and just connecting, because I look forward to what's to come, um, with us working together and just really sharing our culture, our history, and just staying connected, because it will make a major difference in the quality of life for all San Diegans. It's not just for one person, one organization, or just one community. It impacts all of us. So I do feel blessed, to be here on the show with you, and I look forward to the next. I hope there is a next time.
I'm sure there will be.
There will be.
God bless you, JoAnn, for all that you do and all of her information. And for everybody watching, of course,
It's scrolling on
it's
the bottom
scrolling
of
at
the
the
screen.
bottom, and so you can contact her any way that you want to reach out for whether support or information. It's all there. JoAnn Fields, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you, Brett and Sarah. You have a good night, and I look forward to sharing this out with the community so they also learn about your podcast and your other guests that come on, because it's
Thank
all a
you.
learning experience.
Well, it was an honor having you and listening to you. You're an amazing woman, and I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yes, let's do that. I'm going to send you an invite. There's a few events, but for sure October 1st,
Okay.
or even September 23rd for Lumpia Club.
There you go. There you go.
And you
September
have,
23rd.
and may I say, and I don't want this to be taken in a certain way, because I know people are very sensitive nowadays, but you do have a very beautiful smile.
Yeah, thank you. I received that, even though I'm not feeling up to par, but thank you for the compliment.
Thank you. Take care. We'll see you around. And to my sponsors, Attorney King, thank you so much. He was also very supportive of the Filipino community. He was recently at your event with his brother Ari.
Yes,
of course.
Yes, I love Attorney King. He's very supportive in it seems like every community he's involved in. And I do appreciate King Aminpour. He was our stage sponsor for the Philam Friendship Festival. And I'm sure we'll see him in the community together, because he really is very supportive, and I appreciate him. And I'm glad to hear that he's a sponsor of your podcast.
He's the reason we have our show in the first place. I thank him for everything that he does, of course. And of course, Cody Martinez in Sequan Casino and Resort. Thank you for everything you do, Cody Martinez, another great friend and supporter of the show. And of course, Marina Teal with IB Fitness. Thank you for what you do. And of course, Bona Facetta, the garage in Coronado, some really good Italian food. Marco, thank you for everything you do. Everybody out there, take care. Be
That's
nice.
where Trisha Lynn performs.
Is it really?
I just couldn't pronounce the name. I'm sorry, Marco, when you see that. But Marco is a great, great person. And Trisha Lynn, the same. She performs there on Fridays. I want to say 6 to 8.
We're going to have to go see her.
Oh, yes. And I need to go there with you. I love the
Okay.
food.
Absolutely. There we go.
It's a date, JoAnn. It's a date.
Okay.
I know nobody's dieting that night.
No, nobody's dieting.
Diets. Everybody take care. Exactly. Everybody take care, and remember, be nice to each other. Okay? Take care, and yippee-ki-yay.